Almost time for the nightcap in Charlotte as the 2 seed Louisville Cardinals take on the 3 seed Clemson Tigers. And starting off with the Louisville side of things, Louisville said out with the old and in with a lot of new, as new head coach Pat Kelsey brought in 15 new players to this Cardinals team. They say that staying at the top is even harder than getting to the top, and the 2 seed Notre Dame will have the task of trying to defend their ACC tournament title from last season against the 3 seed Duke Blue Devils.
Virginia Tech sends SMU riding home as the Hokies defeat the Mustangs 79-71.
Castle Coliseum showed up in a wave of pink for Play for K and National Girls and Women in Sports Day as the SMU Mustangs traveled to Blacksburg.
The Hokies couldn't make a deal with the Blue Devils as Duke defeats Virginia Tech 31-28. Rutgers joins Earth, Wind, and Fire as a group that will remember September 21st in triumph.
It actually ended up being kind of the background characters who stole the show, specifically Jalen Withers. 7 for 10 from the floor, right? 7 for 10 from 3. A 6'9" big man doing that is ridiculous. Led his team with 21 points, a phenomenal showing. And so for the Tar Heels, they realized that if they can get these background guys going, if they get their stars to show up too, they could be dangerous in this tournament.
Last time Virginia Tech women's basketball defeated Notre Dame at home, Megan Duffy scored 4 points for the Irish. Tonight, as the Hokies head coach, she looks to take down a version of her alma mater ranked 3rd in the country.
Well, SMU in their first ACC tournament looking to make some magic. They'll take on the Clemson Tigers in a few minutes. You can listen along on 3304 Sports for all the action. Duke is your 2025 ACC Women's Basketball Tournament champion as they defeat the NC State Wolfpack in a score 76-72. There's one name that's been going around the Bluegrass State over the last 24 hours. Chucky Hepburn, the transfer from Wisconsin. He started every single game of his collegiate career, and he's made over 500 shots, but none were bigger than the one last night that hit his hands with 1 second left on the clock as he sent it flying into the nylon to defeat the Stanford Cardinal and send the Cardinals to the semifinal against Clemson. For the second time in 2 weeks, Duke is the ACC tournament champion, as this time the men's squad backs up the women's team and the Blue Devils sweep the ACC tournaments.
400 of anything is a lot. 400 days is more than a year on this earth. And $400, that'll give you 77 cheesy gordita crunches or 76 grande lattes if that's your not quite cup of tea. But 400 wins, that's something only 3 ACC men's basketball coaches that are active can claim. One of them is Virginia Tech's Mike Young. Now the road to 400 wins looks different for every coach, but Young has only made 2 stops as captain of the ship, leaving a historic legacy at a pair of programs. Let's take a walk down memory lane and recap Mike Young's coaching career. Young started off his coaching career in the Commonwealth of Virginia. First off exit 26 at his alma mater Emory and Henry before returning to his hometown Radford as a grad assistant. But it was in 1988 that he would find his first long-term home, Wofford in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Young would make his rise through the ranks and take reins of the Terriers in 2002. Over the first 16 seasons at Wofford, he tallied up 270 wins before in the final year of his tenure, he went on a magical run going undefeated in conference play with 18 wins. Young would get up to win number 299 after he made a run to the second round of the NCAA tournament before he would decide it's time to hit the road and head off to Blacksburg. Young's first win as a Hokie would give him career win number 300. And by the second year as the head coach of Virginia Tech, he already had the Hokies back in the NCAA tournament. But it was the final W's of his 3rd year as the Hokies head coach that might have more weight than any other W's of his career. Entering the ACC tournament, Virginia Tech was the 7th seed. But Tech would leave Brooklyn with 4 wins in an odds-defying run, including defeating the top seed Duke to take the ACC tournament title. With 391 wins entering this season, the elusive 400 was in reach. And Coach Young's squad would secure it with a 10-point victory in Tallahassee, led by a double-double by Toby Lawal. So after 23 seasons of being a head coach, Mike Young has over 400 career victories, 6 conference tournament titles, 7 NCAA tournament appearances, and 5 Conference Coach of the Year awards. No matter how much is left in Mike Young's coaching journey, he can proudly look in the rearview mirror, knowing he left a historic legacy on 2 programs. Geez, 76 lattes really is a lot. If the Lion King taught us anything, it's that a thundering herd can indeed do some damage. Does Marshall have what it takes to take down the Mufasa in Virginia Tech? Here's Hayden Tolbert to break down this year's Marshall team.
SEC. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3 losses and you're in the college football playoff.
Now some are gimmies, like Purdue, who's all homegrown, or Duke and Michigan State, who feature just one splash edition. But as we get further down, I guess majority rules for Houston and BYU. And if that's Tennessee and that's Maryland, then that must be Texas Tech. What? Michigan? Not as easy as you thought. Stanford may be new to the ACC family, but they don't appear to be sitting at the kids' table. Does this tree have a gold star in quarterback Ashton Daniels, or is the crown left waiting another year for someone special? Here's Miles Jordan with more on the Stanford Cardinal. I mean, think about how different the world was back then. Look What You Made Me Do was #1 on the Billboard charts as Taylor Swift, of all people, was on the mountaintop of the music world. All right, maybe some things do stay the same. Let's get nostalgic with some of the best underdog stories in the history of the tournament. Sophie Anderson's here to take us through time and look at the top 3 teams who fit the glass slipper just right. It seems like despite the cold weather throughout the country, every team is anxious to go fishing in the transfer portal. Has Virginia Tech reeled in any big fish to shore? For more on what's been caught on the Hokies line, let's turn to Thomas Howlett. Not every day does the earth literally shake from a sporting event, but when these two teams faced off in Blacksburg in 2017, it registered on a seismograph. Can this Saturday's contest be the latest to reach earthquake game status? Tucker Terry's got more on the elite group of games to reach this level in college football history. In the modern era of the transfer portal, allowing players to hop, skip, and dunk their way to new schools, some programs have gone all in, embracing a full reset. This makes some lineups completely unrecognizable, and this year's Sweet 16 is a prime example. Despite the devastating loss, the Hokies have had flashes of potential and have to look ahead or they will be lost in the past for the rest of the season. You don't face your fears, you ride them, Tyler Owens once said. To break down Virginia Tech's confidence level going into the weekend, let's send it to our very own Landon Weaver. Everyone has some type of outrageous prediction in their mind, which some people may call crazy if they said it aloud. Today, both Tucker and Sarah are going to put some of their craziest forecasts into the air. The Hokies outscored Duke a combined 81 to, well, the same amount of touchdowns I've scored. On the gridiron, not in college football 25, of course. Can the ACC get itself out of the rough? Or will the conference be stuck in the sand trap come Selection Sunday? Virginia Tech is no stranger to seeing a wild card in their hand. To look at the oddest foes in Virginia Tech football's history, let's toss it to Thomas Howlett. Regardless of who wins, both are as safe of a bet to make the playoff as the sound of Mariah Carey's voice making a return every December. But as the Hokies return to Lane Stadium for their home opener on Saturday, Virginia Tech brings back a star whose season was cut short last year. To discuss a key piece in the Virginia Tech offense's puzzle, we'll kick it over to Caitlin Ford.
Duke behind has the basketball with 3 minutes left in the third, trailing by 1 against Notre Dame, who has won 7 of the last 10 in this series historically. This one for a date with NC State in the championship tomorrow at the ACC Women's Basketball Tournament. Ashlyn Jackson overhead toss to Donovan, pull-up jumper mid-range. It's through, 43-42. Duke back in front by 1, 2:40 left in the third.
Middle of the floor right there is the zone killer.
Hidalgo for Notre Dame, bounce pass to Carlin, lob over to Westfeld, underneath the basket, goes up and it bounces out. Jaden Donovan of Duke will caress the basketball. The leading rebounder for the Blue Devils goes behind the back against Prosper and nearly has it stripped away. She holds on, kicks it out to DeJesus. On the top of the key, right corner Okanawa, driving baseline, taken away. Westfeld picks it up for the Fighting Irish. They'll throw it cross court, nearly intercepted, but Miles handles it. Pull up from the right wing is off the mark, and Liza Carlin goes for the rebound, and we have a travel as both Westfeld and Carlin tried to get the rebound, and we end up seeing a foul on the floor, Tucker.
They almost fought each other for it, and so kind of started walking with the ball, trying to claim it, and that caused the travel.
An odd scene gives the basketball back to Duke, going right to left. And Duke, building chemistry with this squad, has started the same starting 5 all season. That is something you don't see very often at the collegiate level. No injuries, allowing a lot of chemistry. They'll give it to the 6th player of the year, Toby Fournier, on the left elbow before going back to Jackson on the left wing. Bounce back to Fournier down low of a jump ball between her and Westbeld as they both fought for it, and that means possession. Notre Dame, who's down by 1 with 1:50 left in the third. 43 Duke, 42 Notre Dame.
Duke setting back up in this press. See if they can start turning over Notre Dame in the second half.
Inbound goes to Carlin. The transfer from Marquette, who crosses half court for the Fighting Irish. Tries to give it to Miles and just gives it away as it ends up with Wood of the Blue Devils. Jackson on the fast break gives it to Fournier under the basket, goes up to it, and she gets it off the glass. 45-42 lead for Duke. 1.5 minutes left in the third quarter in Greensboro. Miles gives it to Hidalgo, and she will travel. And she wanted to make her way to the lane. Instead, Duke will get it back up by 3. 1.5 minutes in the third. 45-42 Blue Devils.
And here's a little momentum boost for Duke. Couple stops in a row, couple scores. This is exactly what Duke needed.
Notre Dame 3 turnovers in the last 2 minutes. Meanwhile, Duke 4 of their last 5 shots on the floor have went through the nylon. Vanessa De Jesus for Duke will cross to her left for the Blue Devils. Hand off to Jackson, left wing, back to Jesus. Sidestep 3, up, and it rolls out. Defensive rebound nearly collected by Citron. Instead, offensively by Akanawa, goes up to the rack. She's fouled. It bounces off the right side of the rim, but she will head to the charity stripe to shoot 2.
What's really been a shocking development is Duke winning the rebound battle. That's their 7th offensive rebound of the night against Notre Dame, who, like we've mentioned, the 4th best rebounding team in the nation.
Duke, the 8th best rebounding team in the ACC, but showing up big in this contest. Akanawa, last year's 6th player of the year, puts up the first free throw. It's true, 46-42. 1 minute and 6 seconds left in the third quarter. Blue Devils advantage, and another chance for Duke to add on to it as Akanawa gives one dribble, puts it up, and you hear the nylon. 47-42. 1 minute and 5 seconds left in the third quarter as Notre Dame tries to get a bucket. They haven't scored in over 2 minutes. Hidalgo takes her time with less than a minute in the third. We'll give it to Citron, left wing. Over to Westbeld, driving to the baseline, up against Fournier, puts it too strong, and we'll see who got the rebound. It is going to be off of Carlin of Notre Dame, giving it to Duke with 47.7 seconds, up by 5 in the third quarter.
Once again, everything 50-50 right now seems to be going Duke's way.
De Jesus will walk it for the Blue Devils. 20-second differential between shot clock and game clock almost, with 35 still in this third quarter. 15 left on the shot clock for Duke. Akanawa pump fakes and gives it to Jackson. Long 3 off the right side of the rim. Carlin fighting for the rebound in Notre Dame, but she will send it out of bounds in possession. Stays with the Blue Devils, up by 5. 26.5 seconds left in the third quarter.
Duke now with a chance to save for the final shot of the quarter.
De Jesus will throw it in to Jackson, who receives it. As you say, no shot clock. 22 seconds in the third quarter. Blue Devils lead by 5. Ashlyn Jackson over to De Jesus. Pump fake back to Jackson with 15 left in the third. Well, back all the way to half court on the ACC, part of the Ally ACC Women's Tournament logo here in Greensboro, North Carolina, inside of First Horizon Coliseum. Jackson driving, has it poked away. We'll have a foul on the floor as Hidalgo wanted to go on a fast break, but instead we'll see a foul on Olivia Miles of the Fighting Irish. That is her 2nd foul and the 3rd of the quarter, as we are 3 seconds away from the end of this third. Inbound from the side. Akanawa will look to throw it in for the Blue Devils. It goes to Wood, back to Akanawa, cross court to Jackson. Hurls up a 3 from the right side, and it will hit off the right side of the rim, off the backboard, and we stay 47-42. Duke in front of Notre Dame as the 3 seed leads the 2 seed in Greensboro.